This is the News Hour, brought to you by Samsung.
Right on top of News Hour tonight, the story of no lessons learned from the death of little Mahi, another 4-year-old boy. His name is Sunny, has died in Ghaziabad, and TimesNow's Bhavtosh Singh is reporting from the spot. Sunny fell into an open drain ignored by the authorities, another symptom of our indifference. Bhavtosh has more. Bhavtosh, how angry are the people at that spot, and how is this allowed to happen? Who's responsible?
Yes, first I would like to show you the open drain where Sunny fell. Now this is the open drain. It's around 12 to 15 feet deep, and it was in this drain that Sunny fell. With me are many angry residents of Vasundhara Enclave, and they have said it was a tragedy waiting to... In fact, we are joined by one of friends of Sunny's father. कब हुआ था और आप बताइए? ये बच्चा ये 10:30 बजे का हादसा है और किसी को कुछ नहीं पता कि क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। क्या आपने कभी अथॉरिटी से ये कहा कि इसको ढक दिया? ये अथॉरिटी से 10 बार इसकी कंप्लेंट करी गई है, पर अथॉरिटी के कान पर कोई जू नहीं रेंगती इस मसले पे। ऐसे बहुत मैनहोल खुले हुए हैं गाजियाबाद यहाँ वसुंधरा के अंदर, 3-4 होल इसी का भी पीछे ही है, पीछे भी हुआ पड़ा है। बताओ यहाँ पे पलासगढ़ी के और वसुंधरा के अंदर अथॉरिटी से कहा कि कई बार शिकायत पे धरना प्रदर्शन भी हुए यहाँ पे, कांग्रेस की तरफ से भी हुआ। और जब से बच्चा गिरा था कोई आया यहाँ पे? कोई भी नहीं दिखाई दिया। हमारा अधिकारी यहाँ पे ये साहिबाद वसुंधरा की घटना है। वसुंधरा का भी अधिकारी अभी तक नहीं आया अभी तक, और ये नगर निगम की लापरवाही है। अभी तो देखिए बरसात ये स्टार्ट हुई है, बरसात अब जब चालू होगी तब क्या होगा। यहाँ 15 साल से रह रहे हैं, ये तो बदतर होता जा रहा है गाँव से भी ये शहर। और मैं ये यहाँ सफाई व्यवस्था बिल्कुल भी नहीं है नगर निगम की तरफ से। इतना पानी भर जाता है, पर नगर निगम का कोई अधिकारी आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। कर्मचारी, सफाई कर्मचारी इतनी बार इस बारे में धरना प्रदर्शन। नगर निगम की बात यह है कि आप नगर निगम की बात मानिए, तो यदि वहाँ एप्लीकेशन देने के लिए हम जाते तो नगर निगम ऐसा हो जाता है जैसा कुछ जानता ही नहीं। ये नगर निगम की सबसे बड़ी गलती है। और बच्चे की 2.5 साल नगर निगम यहाँ आता नहीं है, सफाई नहीं हुई है।
Absolutely, Bhavtosh. And I hope the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh is listening to this tonight. I hope the authorities are listening tonight, because there is nothing more shameful than what has just happened out there. I want to recap the story once again. Okay, we'll hear what the person next to you is saying. Go ahead. Give him the mic. Bhavtosh. Let him speak. Let him speak, Bhavtosh. Let him tell us what he's saying.
अच्छा, आपने कभी भी अधिकारियों से बोलते ही हो जाएगा। कई बार रिटन में एप्लीकेशन दी गई है नगर निगम को, बट दे आर नॉट लिसन एनीथिंग, एंड वी वांट टू सम सपोर्ट द गाइस जिसका बच्चा मरा है।
ओके,
नगर निगम की तरफ से सपोर्ट मिले।
Well, you know what is extremely shocking, Bhavtosh. Bhavtosh, I can only say that what is most shocking for me, what is I might say embarrassing for me tonight, is that not one official has even bothered to come and cover that manhole. You have a disgraceful situation in this country where a 4-year-old child dies like that in that open drain, in a ditch, in the middle of rubbish, suffocates to death, and not one official, leave alone the Chief Minister, has bothered there to come and cover the drain. This is the state of India today in 2012. Mr. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, where are you? Come back from your European holiday and show that you are a person who can take some action. Bhavtosh, thanks for that, for following that story.
On the News Hour tonight, simply beyond caring, as the News Hour exposes 5 fresh cases of horrific indifference.
The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh busy holidaying in Europe. His Chief Medical Officer has openly justified cleaners doubling up as doctors. And doctors under him are so outraged by the transfer of this incompetent Chief Medical Officer that they have gone on a strike, just letting a patient today die before them just like that. It is this indifference, this awful chalta hai attitude that comes as a slap on the face of every voter, every common man, each and every single day. Today, once again, the family of Kanwar Pal is crying for justice, but their cries have fallen on deaf ears. Those sitting in powerful positions planning midterm elections have once again chosen to look away, but India is outraged by this sheer apathy. And it's time for the India of 2010 to reclaim our country and to speak up.
ये शिकायतें हैं कि उनको इमरजेंसी में आज इलाज नहीं मिल रहा। आपका क्या कहना है? अब उनसे बात करिए। नहीं, यहाँ पे एक आदमी मर गया, उसके लिए कौन रेस्पॉन्सिबल है? डॉक्टर सचिन आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ। नहीं, आप उनसे बात करिए।
The doctor failing to give straight answers on being questioned on the death of a patient. Questioned whether his strike is more important than a patient's life. Perhaps he should take one hard look at this woman, distraught, her life shattered because of this doctor's strike at the Bulandshahr District Hospital.
फिर इमरजेंसी करी, डॉक्टरों ने कोई जांच नहीं करी, डॉक्टरों ने नहीं देखा इनको, पहले नहीं देखा, कभी तो कह रहे कोई इधर ले जाओ, कोई इधर ले जाओ, कोई पास नहीं आया, नहीं देखे,
सीएमएस सर से बात करो।
सीएमएस सस्पेंड हो गए।
तुमसे बात करो, जो भी एक्टिंग सीएमएस है उनसे बात करो।
These doctors are striking to protest the transfer of this man. The Chief Medical Superintendent, Shishir Kumar, who let a ward boy perform a surgical procedure on a young child and then went on to defend it as an emergency case.
What is the medical qualification of this ward boy who also doubles up as a cleaner? What is his medical qualification?
मेडिकल क्वालिफिकेशन इन लोगों की कोई नहीं होती है।
So what gives you the right?
एक्सपीरियंस।
Coming under pressure, the Akhilesh Yadav UP government merely transferring the Chief Medical Superintendent Shishir Kumar, who still backs his action of not only using the ward boys but even the cleaning staff to do a doctor's job. As a result, the common man of Bulandshahr left without any medical help, as all the 23 doctors along with the Chief Medical Superintendent who has been transferred going on a protest.
And not surprisingly for the Indian Medical Association, even this horror is not shocking enough to act on.
I think the government has taken its action by transferring the superintendent or the CMO.
But the question is, shouldn't doctors protesting while patients are left unattended be held responsible? Is a patient's life of no value for these doctors? And how could these doctors leave a patient to die as they protested to protect one of their own? Bureau Report, Times Now.
We're going to take some phone calls tonight. We want to hear your voice. Kiran Bedi is joining us tonight, member of Team Anna, former IPS officer. I'm very happy to be joined by Subhashini Ali, President of the All India Democratic Women's Association, well-known activist. Thank you very much. Vandana Kohli is with me in the studio tonight, well-known filmmaker, social activist. Also with us tonight, I see Dr. SanjeevBagai, CEO and Dean of Radiant Life Care. Thank you very much. I think it's time to really speak up, isn't it, Doctor? Sharad Agarwal is joining us, and he's joining us from the studios in Delhi, Secretary of the Indian Medical Association, Uttar Pradesh. I think the response of the IMA so far has been quite pathetic. Dr. Tasleem Ahmad Rahmani, leader of the Samajwadi Party, I don't know if you have any answers for the complete incompetence your government has reflected in Uttar Pradesh over the last few days. Dr. Purushottam Lal is joining us. He is a member of the Medical Council of India. Tehseen Poonawala is also with us tonight, and Neelam Krishnamurthy is President of the Association of the Victims of Upar Fire. Let's speak up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Kiran Bedi, to you first. The country has gone beyond caring. Has the country gone beyond caring, or have its leaders gone beyond caring? Why is there another open manhole, an open drain in which a child has died? Why has a person been allowed to die unattended in Bulandshahr? Why has the university not apologized, and in fact, why is it persecuting the parents in Vishwa Bharati?
I think we are more, negligence is writ large in our governance in this country. Let's understand why is this happening. because it's repeatedly happening. Sometimes it's a borewell uncovered, sometimes it's a drain uncovered, sometimes it's a pothole full of monsoon water, scooterists falling and dying. You've had any number of incidents. Let's understand why. The why is that the person who is the delinquent, who is responsible to prevent this negligence, is never punished. Is never punished. And do you know why? I've been a law student. When we were taught in law school, we were taught the law of torts. But the teacher said there is no practicing law of torts. There is nothing. There is a tort, but there is nothing practicing because you are never punished. You are never penalized. Your salary is never deducted. Just being transferred and moved out is no tort. This is no tort. We have not had a tort. In the British times, the crown, the king could do no wrong. Why would the British have the tort? And why did the Indian government after independence not introduce specific...
Do we have the will?
We have
Kiran Bedi, I say tonight that there are 23 doctors employed in the hospital where that 40-year-old man died. I want to know, let me first ask Dr. Taslim Ahmad Rahmani, who is leader of the Samajwadi Party. Sir, tell me, why does your government not have the courage to sack all these 23 doctors for allowing this man to die unattended? Sack them and something like this will not happen again. Why don't you just go and sack them, teach them a lesson?
See, this is a national issue and this is a problem of infrastructure, as Mrs. Kiran Bedi has already said. Nobody can approve, nobody can justify. Everybody in this country, including me, is said over whatever
Sir,
is
today
happening
we don't want,
all through the country.
So we don't want
all through the country.
Mr. Rahmani, my question is very simple. You are giving me what I call a photocopy answer, that we are all sad, we are all aggrieved with a systemic problem. It's not. Your government is refusing to act against the doctors who let a man die in Bulandshahr. If that man was a politician, I'm sorry to say, you would not have been so lackadaisical in your attitude. Why don't you sack the doctors who have gone on strike?
Autopsies are not allowed by the fourth-class employees. It is always been done by the doctor, and if somebody non-medico or a fourth class has been done, he should be punished, and he is punished.
Why don't you? No, you are avoiding the question. I will bring the pictures out tonight. 1 second. I tell you what happened in Bulandshahr. I don't think you know. Do you know what happened in Bulandshahr? In Bulandshahr, there was a man who came suffering from typhoid, simple, proper, basic medical assistance, and he would not have died. I am playing those pictures now, sir. You are in power in Uttar Pradesh. Why did you come to power? To allow this to happen? Those doctors have gone on strike. Not one doctor came and helped this lady who went around from door to door saying, my husband is dying, please give him basic medical care. Your government did nothing.
This is the first strike.
Why don't you sack the doctors and let him die?
First strike ever in this country.
Sir, my taxpayer money. I'm sorry, Mr. Our taxpayer money.
This is the first strike. Is this the first strike in this country?
How does that matter? Are you justifying 1,000 rounds to justify another one?
The people do strike, and when there is a strike, there is a paralysis.
So people do strike, people can die.
Total paralysis.
Do you know why they were striking? Do you know why they were striking?
I'm not justifying, but I'm saying if this is the first day of the strike, maybe tomorrow after the ESMA.
So you'll wait for a few more people to die.
This happens.
People die.
It's not that the
people die.
Are being taken in a couple of hours.
Oh, so it will happen. It's normal.
I'm not saying that people are dying is normal. I did not say this.
Then what are you saying?
I'm not saying.
What do you mean by this happens?
I'm saying about only this strike.
What do you mean by saying this happens? What happens? Why this chalta hai attitude?
Whom you are asking?
I'm asking you. You said this happens. What happens? People.
No, I'm saying that if the strike is there, it takes some time to take on the strike.
Oh, sir, I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
This is not the first time, and I'm strange why the Uttar Pradesh alone is being blamed.
Sir, please don't get into this falsification complex. Why Uttar Pradesh alone? We pick up a case from Bengal. Mamata Banerjee will say by Bengal alone. We pick up a case from Karnataka. Jagdish Shettar will say why Karnataka alone. It's a national disease.
That's why I said this is a national problem.
It's a national disease, but because people like you are refusing to come out on the streets and take any action. I want to get from Kanpur. From Kanpur, I want to get Subhashini Ali. Miss Ali, you see this now another case came from Ghaziabad. This is an open drain.
I was watching it.
You saw
I was
what?
watching that.
You also heard what Mr. Rahmani has said before you.
Yeah, but I would like to go back to the Bulandshahr case.
Yes.
The whole problem is that number one, the Uttar Pradesh government, whether it is this government, the government before this, or when this government was here before this, what they are doing is that they are just not providing what is necessary to keep the medical services going. That means they are not recruiting enough nurses, they are not recruiting enough doctors, and what you have seen in Bulandshahr, let me tell you, it is rampant everywhere. There is now a tendency everywhere to not recruit people whom you may have to pay a decent wage and get people who are really low paid to do all the things that they are just qualified to do. Today an Asha, I just want to tell you,
So
just 1 minute.
For this,
Today an Asha.
Akhilesh is responsible for that.
Stop defending your chief minister, please. Stop. He's the chief minister, so I think he's responsible. Stop defending your chief minister.
Yeah, today he is responsible.
Of course
today
he is
responsible. So what I'm saying is that it's a very deep-rooted malaise. In Kanpur, for example, if you go to the place where the post-mortem is performed, not from today. For the last 25-30 years, the post-mortem is performed by a sanitary worker because no doctor wants to go and do that job. They think it's dirty, they think it's filthy, they don't want to do it. So there are many problems here, and for them in Bulandshahr to have taken action against the fourth-class employee who was doing what he had been obviously told to do is absolutely wrong.
Absolutely
it cannot be defended. If that man is doing the job of a doctor
and I think
he's qualified to do it,
I
they should
think
promote him and give him the salary of doctor.
No, I think it's time today to say that, you know, if people take, you see there are 23 trained doctors who are taking a town of 3.4 million to ransom with this strike, which means they are saying 3.4 million people can go to hell, we don't care, they don't need to have any medical facilities, right?
And why should they take action against that?
Because they were exposed.
I mean,
they were exposed, allowing a sweeper.
He was doing something. He was actually performing a social service. He was sticking up somebody or injecting somebody. It's ridiculous what is going on.
I am wondering today why
the government is totally failed.
You see, this is a ridiculous situation.
Providing not providing the basic that is needed to run the medical services.
Exactly. So I want to ask our guest Sharad Agarwal from the Indian Medical Association Uttar Pradesh. What does the IMA Uttar Pradesh have to say about this? What's going on? Why don't you take action against these doctors, Sharad?
Yeah. First of all, as you said, that the 3.4 million person of a city rampant by strike. This is wrong. If you see, the 80% of the healthcare service in India is provided by the private sector.
That's ridiculous.
Only the 20% is provided by the government.
That is so shameful.
Second thing,
No, 1 minute.
that's so ridiculous. When I inquired in the Bulandshahr, there was no strike.
That is not
in Bulandshahr. Third is what the madam previously, she was calling from Kanpur. See, in a big issue, in a larger perspective, no one is allowed who is not trained in the medicine to do the medical treatment.
Oh God, please don't justify it again.
Disaster and
are you going to justify it again?
When you have 40-50 patients simultaneously bleeding. So even if this is called disaster, and in this
don't teach me
common person can do the first step.
Sharad,
so
you see,
the motive on that disaster is to save the life.
1 minute,
rather than seeing them
please don't give me all that rubbish. 1 minute, Sharad, let me tell you. 1 second, please. 1 second, please. I'll tell you why you are wrong. I'll tell you why you are wrong. I'll tell you why you are wrong. I'll tell you why.
If
don't justify.
If there is a emergency and doctor is not treating, then again the attendant of the doctor, they are going to beat him. And if the doctor is managing the emergency, then again he is being now penalizing like this. You know, basically this is the failure of the system. Please, we should see the root of the cause by sacking a single doctor or 2 doctor or 3 doctor is not the result. It's not the treatment. This has to be done. That there is a absolutely failure in system. This is why, if you see for last 10-20 years, this is the status of health. This shows
how the government is sensitive regarding the health issue. This is the our health minister, our national health minister is planning to make a 3.5-year doctor from the rural community, and
I think
70% of India reside in the rural community.
I am sorry.
They will be treated by.
I am sorry,
3.5-year doctor.
Sharad Agarwal, you are a doctor.
No, this is.
You are a
this is
doctor. Are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? I presume you are a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course you are a doctor.
Absolutely.
Thank you. But thank you. I was just checking.
Absolutely.
I was just checking because I thought you forgot the Hippocratic oath. You cannot let a person die before your eyes. You cannot.
No.
What are you talking about?
See.
Come on. Please don't justify something like this. Please. Dr. Bagai. Dr. Bagai is coming in. Dr. Bagai. Is no. I think
only one.
Here another doctor. Come on, for God's sake. You know what? Here another doctor. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, please.
I would like to actually put this full episode in the correct perspective. I think this is a big shame as far as the doctor community is concerned. And I don't agree with what is being said. Point number one, if you critically analyze the set of events, it's a 170-bedded hospital. It's extremely important for every viewer to know this.
Yes.
You have apparently 23 doctors. Doctors work on shift. So at any given shift, there should be 8 to 9 doctors working. There was only one at 7:30. So where were the other 7 who were supposed to be on that shift?
Yeah.
Point number two, if there is only one single doctor, where are the nursing staff? For a 170-bedded hospital, there should be a sanctioned strength of approximately 180 to 200 nurses.
Answer that.
50 to 60 nurses per shift. Where are the nursing staff?
Answer that.
If the CMO is there, he is, I mean, this is so stupid. This is like a circus.
That is the
He
answer.
supervising
Failure of
a
the system.
sweeper.
No, it's not a failure of the system.
No,
It's a chalta hai attitude. Yes, continue, Dr. Bagai.
Let me complete because this is extremely sensitive. I think this whole episode has trivialized medicine to the lowest ebb. If a CMO is now supervising a sweeper who's wearing a watch and a ring without gloves and stitching, then a cobbler will do a better job. And you're allowing, a CMO is allowing this to happen. If there was shortage of manpower, why didn't he stitch the wound? Why didn't he give the injection? Why isn't he putting starting IV fluids?
Precisely.
And instead of doing this on an unsterile bed, without a drape, without gloves, how on earth is hospital infection going to be prevented?
And when they are exposed, Dr. Bagai, what is worse? What is worse, Dr. Bagai, is that when they are exposed, then they resort to some kind of medieval unionism.
No.
I want to ask the Medical Council of India. Dr. Purushottam Lal is a member of the Medical Council of India. Why does the Medical Council of India not show some teeth tonight?
Or no, just a minute.
I want to know what the MCI is doing. And Dr. Lal, can you tell me?
Well, the system, the way it works, that
System, no, don't tell me about the system.
Medical Council, because it falls in the State Medical Council, and they have to make the inquiry, and then they will come to us. If they don't take any action within 6 months, then we come in the picture.
So how many people
as appeal? But at the same time, this we're going to send the instructions to the State Medical Council to really look into it, and it is a serious matter, no doubt about it. And
I don't know how you know this. I don't know, sir.
Awareness.
I don't know.
Among the doctors, there has to be some awareness.
Awareness.
Now, I'll come to the other side.
Awareness about
that the problem we are facing is the lack of paramedical staff and the lack of the doctors.
Sir,
and
there
the
is
lack
staff.
of the qualified doctors.
That's a lie.
That has been
In this case, it's a lie. There is enough staff.
The doctors to go to the villages, and that
I think
that is a big problem.
This is not acceptable. No. I'm just saying. Sir, let's not lose focus. What I'm talking tonight is about a chalta hai attitude. I now want to play one more story, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take a first caller tonight. Let's hear the voice of our news viewers. 1 minute, sir. Calm down. Let's hear. I want to hear you tonight, wherever you are watching. And Lalit is calling in, I think from Bangalore. Go ahead, Lalit. What do you think?
Good evening, Arnab.
Good evening.
Arnab, I met with an accident on 20th June, and I was shifted to one nursing home. I had a fracture. There is no stretcher in the hospital.
Which hospital?
It's JP Nursing Home in Bangalore, Saraswatipuram.
Okay.
They didn't have stretcher, 6 people carried me. Then there was a doctor. Doctor didn't attend me. I had a big wound on my right leg. Some peon came. Doctor was sitting in front of me. My mother was crying. The peon or ward boy, whoever, had attended and treated my wound. Then I was required to take one X-ray.
Just
Then again one horror started.
I understand, Mr. Gujarati, because I'm short of time, I can't go into details, but I appreciate your call tonight. Yeah. The same apathy is reflected all over. But I think, I must say, Ms. Dr. Agarwal, please don't mind this, but I am going to be very candid. I am completely and utterly horrified at your observation that if people don't have a government hospital, they can choose to go to private hospitals. This is the Marie Antoinette kind of comment. This is that if you can't have bread, go eat cake.
I didn't say.
You said that. Will you take it back?
Please correct your statement.
You said that.
I said
in the private
80% of the healthcare is provided by the private sector.
More horrible things in the private hospital.
This is the fact.
What does it mean? So I'm saying I'm a poor person. I'm saying I'm a poor person.
Saying this is the failure of system.
Mr. Dr. Agarwal, what are you saying? You are a Dr. Agarwal, don't encourage this kind of thing to go on. I want to play one more example. This is a horrific story. Please listen to this story. I want to tell our viewers, see what happened in Kolkata. It is a story of horror beyond belief, indignity beyond tolerance. Today, the body of a 32-year-old mentally challenged woman, Guria, was exhumed from a pit in the rehabilitation center where she was supposed to be treated. Instead of being given care, don't look away from this story. Guria was tortured, sexually abused, raped, bludgeoned, and then murdered. The dark truth of the house of horror not far from Kolkata, exposed only after her inmates in that asylum gathered the courage to raise their voices and turn into whistleblowers. Despite this horrific, blood-curdling episode, the Chief Minister herself has maintained a deafening silence. She made the Health Minister say something. And tonight we are asking, at what point of time do our biggest political leaders feel that stories like this are important to personally come out, and if nothing else, express some remorse over?
One look into this home for these inmates and the pathetic state in which they are forced to live hits us in the face. But what is more shocking is what they narrate to us. These women still shudder at what they claim they saw. But they have mustered courage to turn whistleblowers after the alleged torture, rape and death of one of their own, 32-year-old Guria.
ও বাইরে দিয়ে থাকতো অত্যাচার করতো আমার গলা টিপে মারতে গেছে আমার 2বার না 3বার মেরেছে এখানে সামনে মেরেছে এরকম করতো আমি চাই ওর শাস্তি হ্যাঁ পেছন দিকে পুঁতে দিল ওই মেরেছে ওই অত্যাচার করেছে
Guria died mysteriously just a week after being brought to this home for the mentally challenged, incidentally funded by the Central Social Welfare Board. No one would have known if not for a tip-off from these inmates. It is their allegation that forced the cops to exhume the decomposed remains of Guria from this backyard.
Guria, the 32-year-old lady, was raped, tortured, and then he was buried in this pit here at the backyard of this particular home run by Dulal Smriti Sangshad in Hooghly. In fact, it was buried allegedly on 26th of June.
And while the owner of this home has been arrested, the abuse that these women have been through and the indignity they have faced is blood-curdling.
अत्याचार करता था हम लोग को ठीक से नहीं खाने देता था ठीक से पहनने नहीं देता था कपड़ा लत्ता नहीं देता था एक दिन खाना देता था एक दिन नहीं खाना देता
But shockingly, Guria may not be the only helpless victim of such abuse. TimesNow is investigating several cases where inmates at mental hospitals have been ill-treated and sexually abused. We are in the process of gathering all information on the numerous complaints that we have received.
Investigation at present is in a very early stage. Nothing specific is to be said at this moment. So far, 3 people have been arrested in this case.
Guria's case, one of the worst form of indignity and abuse. But if these inmates have the courage to turn into whistleblowers, can India afford to look the other way? With Sambit in Hooghly, Ankita Dwivedi, Times Now.
I'd like to get in Vandana Kohli at this stage. Vandana, what do you make of this particular story?
Well, it's blood-curdling. I mean, it's difficult to look at the story every time you play it. You know,
can't look away either. Actually.
You can't look away either. And I have to say that in 2003, for instance, there were 3,500 psychiatrists for the entire nation. Now, these kind of issues, these are mentally challenged people, physically challenged, mentally challenged. There is absolutely no support for them from any quarter, from the government, from any quarter.
Outsourced this whole business to NGOs, give them a little bit of money and then...
Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I have to say that, and you know, apathy, lackadaisical attitudes, corruption, any kind of, anything that makes the system dysfunctional in 3 critical sectors cannot be tolerated. That's health, education and law enforcement. We can't afford to do it. Those are the 3 building blocks of any nation, any society for that matter.
That truly they are, but this case has happened right before our eyes. Neelam Krishnamurthy, welcome. Tehseen Poonawalla, I'm coming to you in just a minute, but I'd like to get in Neelam Krishnamurthy first. Neelam Krishnamurthy, you've seen some responses, I'd say some rather stodgy and rigid responses from some of our panelists. The response from some of our panelists is that there's nothing wrong which has happened. That it's probably the media which is making a mistake by highlighting these cases. Your response to some of our panelists, any of them in particular?
I think it's very shocking when your panelists speak about this, that, you know, this is a systematic failure in the system. Because Arnav, what I've seen the whole thing and what I feel is that this chalta hai attitude is because everybody knows kuch nahi hoga. It doesn't matter. Children will continue falling into the well, they'll continue falling anywhere. You know, the drains will be left uncovered. People will die because of medical negligence, and no action will be taken. The reason for this is the number of cases in our country take probably 2 to 3 decades. And I don't think anybody has the patience and the perseverance to go to the courts to follow these cases. So one of the most important things that really needs to happen in this country, speedy justice to victims. It doesn't matter whether it's about children falling into the drain or anywhere, anything that's happening. I think we need justice within 1 year. Unless you bring in a deterrent in our country, people are not going to learn, because everybody knows even if a FIR is lodged, even if a person is suspended, he'll be back on the job within 6 months, and the FIR will be turned into a charge sheet, and that case will go on for years in our courts, and nothing will happen to the person. So I think what we really need to do now is have a campaign where we must ask for speedy justice, just not for 1 or 2 cases. I think we should ask the government to bring in a change in our criminal justice system. Let's not listen to this. I've been hearing this for the last 15 years, that, you know, we have dearth of courts, we don't have enough judges. I think enough. 15 years I've done that. All I can say is, if anybody does this for 15 years, send your entire youth in the court, and you still don't get justice. People in the country are really not going to be encouraged.
Neelam Krishnamurthy, before I come back to you, Kiran Bedi, I want to go to Tehseen Poonawalla once. The point is, we have the laws, we have the teeth. We lack the will. We have an Essential Services Act. We act when people go on strike in universities and colleges, we act against them. Why the government lacks the spine to act in a case like Bulandshahr? Because every group, including doctors, gets unionized, will therefore get politicized. You are dealing not with individual cases of aberrations, you are dealing with lobbyists.
Let it be ESMA, why should they be?
I think if there's one politician who gets affected as on the wrong end of the stick, I think that's going to wake up the system. Kiran Bedi, before I come back to you, Tehseen Poonawalla, it's not a systemic problem anymore, is it? It's not a systemic problem. It is individual inaction.
It is a systemic problem as well as it's an individual inaction as well, Arnav. The problem is on 2 sides of the coin. And the point out here is, I heard Dr. Agarwal, I presume that's what his name was, speaking, And he said, 80% of the services are provided by the private health sector. Those who can't afford the private health sector are the poorest of poor of our fellow citizens. So do they have no human rights? Do they have no dignity? And it's this attitude, whether it's this, you look at the Air India, those pilots have gone on strike, it is our money, our taxpayers' money. And I want to congratulate a channel like yours which is taking up this issue. And each of us, all of us citizens must now start making a noise. India in 2012 cannot afford this to happen. We cannot, and I keep saying this on your channel, we cannot be the growth engine of the world and allow such human right violations, such laws to be broken, such brazen incidents to just keep taking place, people to blackmail. What are the state governments doing? One chief minister is holidaying abroad, one chief minister wants somebody who's not going to win a presidential election, she's candidating for him. This is ridiculous kind of, the state government, there is absolute no accountability. You have 20 lakhs to buy a car, but you don't have money to appoint doctors, to appoint nurses.
I'm giving one more chance tonight on the NewsHour to the Medical Council of India, please, if you can, to the representative of the MCI and the IMA, please, if you want to reconsider your position, because we are getting a lot of calls from our viewers saying they are losing faith in the Indian Medical Association and the Medical Council of India with the kind of responses we've got tonight. And I can read out to you the Hippocratic oath.
Anindam, one statement.
Yes.
Hippocratic. Anindam, one statement that I said the 80% is covered by the private sector in a different context. I am not saying that the 20% they have no right to proper medical treatment. I did not say like this. They have absolutely right. That is what I was saying in the initial my talk, that they should not be treated by 3.5 year doctors. This is the planning of next and I have already mentioned that the treatment by an unqualified doctor or an unqualified person is not at all can be supported. I am not supporting that.
Then when the chief medical officer was there, why did he not stitch up the patient?
Supporting this attitude. I am not supporting
Dr.
this.
Agarwal,
I have just said that this is the tip of iceberg.
Dr. Agarwal,
have to see the
when the chief medical officer was there, why did he not stitch up the patient? Why did he ask the pew to do it?
And see, one minute. If the chief minister is on holiday, it doesn't mean that this is happening because of chief minister's holiday. So I don't think the
chief minister 20 lakhs to buy cars, he does not have money to hire doctors.
I think everybody, I'm surprised here, everybody is out there to defend the chief minister who is fully capable of defending himself, but nobody is here to talk about the 40-year-old man who died.
I'm not defending. I'm saying that this is absolutely entirely different issue.
What is this? I want to go to Kiran Bedi once again. Kiran Bedi, one second. Kiran Bedi,
the person who's defending Arnab, the person who's defending the chief minister, please ask him, if it was his child, would he allow the peon to heal the wounds?
No, it's complete. We've become used to this. We have seen 70 patients who died in Rajasthan. 70 patients, Dr. Agarwal, listen to me, 70 patients.
Also that facility as everybody else.
Dr. Agarwal, you are a doctor, have a heart. Have a heart.
Dr. Agarwal, you say 80% of the people are taken care of, the 20% who are not taken care of are the poorest of our countrymen. They have no access to health care. Are we such inhuman people?
I want to go back to Kiran Bedi for a minute, 1 minute. I don't want to get
hospital.
Kiran Bedi, my question is to you, please, gentlemen, please calm down.
Salary to from my tax-paying money.
Calm down,
on a strike. While my countryman is dying.
Calm down, gentlemen. I want to see today whether the governments can show some teeth and act also for the Aam Aadmi. Kiran Bedi, why are we doing this? We as a channel, and I'm sure you too and all of us, all our viewers, we want the common man to be given a sense of priority in the scheme of things. Right? You've campaigned for the Lokpal, you've campaigned for other issues, now we want the common man to be given priority in the scheme of things, not to be the last in order of priority for official. So where do we start? We don't want these incidents to continue.
We stand nowhere.
We stand?
Or no, we stand nowhere. Do you remember? We asked for a citizens charter, and citizens charter was for exactly this common man. And how it's been thrown out? We wanted the citizen charter to be part of the Jan Lokpal bill, and how it was debated and teared apart and thrown out of the Lokpal bill. That was exactly was for a common man. And you know, citizen charter, was agreed by the parliament, was accepted by the Prime Minister's letter to Anna,
I will say this tonight.
Even the parliament went back, the prime minister's gone back. That citizen charter was exactly for this common man.
You're right, and I want to say tonight, I want to one with Tehseen, and before I come to you, I want to say tonight, there have been cases in our country, let it be known, that if a political activist or a political leader dies in questionable circumstances in a hospital, you have had circumstances where political parties have burned down those hospitals and have gone and acted as broken down and created havoc. Tonight I want to know, why is everybody quiet as a man dies right before the eyes of so many doctors in Bulandshahr? I put that question out. I have a caller tonight coming to you after Venkatesh Iyer. First is calling from Chennai. Mr. Iyer? Are you there, Mr. Iyer?
Yes, Arnab.
Go ahead, sir. Please raise your voice tonight.
Arnab, good evening. You are doing a wonderful job. Congratulations on your channel.
Thank you. Please express your views, please. Thank you.
I want to ask the doctors on your panel,
yes,
whether they are having the recourse to the Hippocratic Oath or Hippocratic Oath.
Yes. That question goes out, and I can read out the Hippocratic Oath for many of our panelists. Dr. Bagai, yes, Dr. Bagai. Though of course your position is very different, I want to go to you. Dr. Bagai.
I just have one small point to make. Everyone is very loosely using overall pan-India shortage of manpower and number of doctors. Here we had the doctors, they were missing from duty.
Of course.
That's the key point.
100%.
And point number two is we are naming this very loosely as a disaster. All the doctors who are in private practice ultimately come out from the breed of the best government medical teaching hospitals. We have done 48 hours duties non-stop. We never said anything. It's our duty. It's not our duty to go on strike. And my appeal to the doctors there with great deal of humbleness is, come back to work. This is our worship. Whatever has happened, we'll resolve that later, but let's do our present duty first.
There is nothing to resolve. In fact, there is nothing to resolve, is there? Suhasini Ali, I want to ask you, if anything else, all the doctors, there's nothing to resolve. They need to stand in a line and apologize to the nation for not being there and letting a sweeper do the job. When you are exposed, then you go on strike and you kill someone. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's nothing to resolve. The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, the government, the Medical Council of India, Indian Medical Association need to collectively put these people in their place instead of defending them. I want to go across to Subhashini Ali, please. She has another point of view tonight. Yes, Ms. Ali.
No, it's not a question of another point of view. I'm saying that in this particular case of Bulandshahr, there is certainly no justification for what has happened there, and that one man's life that has been taken because of this extremely irresponsible behavior can never be condoned.
Absolutely.
Having said that, I would still like to say that, the whole question of public health, because we've also seen what happened in that sort of, outsourced place in West Bengal for mental patients. So this is a very, very basic debate that we have to have in our country, that what is the way in which we can tackle the health problems of the people.
I know, and that I know.
Into the private sector, that's absolute nonsense.
Yes,
the private sector cannot deal with the health problems of the masses.
No,
the government has to do it, and the government has to put in resources. The government has to recruit trained people. It cannot be left like this, that a ward boy.
Now let me tell you, pre-election and post-election.
Or an ASHA is doing a cesarean. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'll tell you, pre-election and post-election. Dr. Rahmani, you're also a doctor. Dr. Taslim Ahmad Rahmani of the Samajwadi Party. I think you're also a doctor, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a medico.
You are a medico. Now, as a medico, you must know what your party's manifesto on health was. I pulled out your party's manifesto on health, and I want to put out the pictures of that family in that condition today after their only breadwinner died, and the pictures also tonight of the manner in which that bizarre sweeper doing the operation incident happened. You said we will have extensive medical operations to heart, cancer, liver and kidney care. Every health worker in every primary center will be increased. We'll get to the latest in technology, including the latest ultrasound machines. We will get down to the districts the ability to get CAT scans and electrocardiography tests. New medical schools will be opened. All this was promised before the election, sir.
Yeah.
And now when this is happening, then a different story. The election's over, story over.
Just the basic things are...
I want to say...
No, this is your party manifesto, isn't it?
I wanted to say this. Shall I speak?
Yeah.
I want to say that this is a much bigger debate. We shall not confine it to one state or one incident. This is unfortunately for the whole of the country, and we shall have to review it. We shall have to review it very honestly, apolitically.
I'm not looking at it politically, sir.
Politically speaking, we cannot have John Rambos running around as sweepers trying to treat patients.
Well put.
This is not a film drama. This is serious business as healthcare. We can't have people coming in as John Wayne and carrying Kelly
what I am saying. We have to ponder upon this situation very honestly.
Sir, I am sorry, but this whole systemic issue, you want to change?
The same thing I am saying, that we have to ponder upon this very honestly, apolitically.
So then ponder about it, but act.
Considering the human act at the center.
Act.
And I say, I do admit, and I disagree, Mr. Agarwal, that there is dishonesty. There is no doubt about that we are unable to deliver the health care to the public.
You see, this is...
We are, as a social activist and as a doctor,
it will take you 5 minutes to act.
No doubt about that.
It will take you 5 minutes to act. If you have the will, it will take you 5 minutes. It will take you 5 minutes.
Supposed to be on duty.
5 minutes to act and stop whatever is going on in Bulandshahr. It's not. It's symptomatic of the bigger problem. You buy this systemic problem line.
It must be.
What's Vandana Kohli?
I admit.
No, sir, I have a question for Dr. Rahmani. Actually, sir, with respect, why can't we start with you? If the problem is continuing, we have to start somewhere. Why can't we start here? One. Second is, everybody has the right to protest. Doctors are bound by their oath at no point in time, and their oath says never to do harm to anybody, never to do harm to anybody. You're protesting, fine. What does it take for, out of 23 doctors, for 1 or 2 doctors in turn to be put on emergency? Because they're on strike, because they said that they saved lives. Now they're on strike. And a man dies, a 40-year-old man dies, who has a family, he has children, he has a wife, he may have parents. You put 5 people in a spot.
Absolutely.
5 people are angry and frustrated and their livelihood is affected. So where do we start, sir? Can we start somewhere? If we have to start somewhere, why can't we start with you?
Well, I think Mr. Rahmani,
even this can be start, but I will say only one agency cannot solve this problem.
One person can make a difference. I have a caller.
This problem.
Bharat
agency cannot solve this problem.
Bharat Mehta is calling from Mumbai. One more caller on NewsHour tonight. Hear the voice of the NewsHour viewer. Hear the voices across the country. Yes, Mr. Mehta.
अनब जी, मैं हिंदी में बात कर सकता हूँ?
जी बिल्कुल।
अच्छा, मैं आपको ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि जो डॉक्टर अग्रवाल जी से, कि अगर आप डॉक्टर हैं, अगर आप पढ़े लिखे हुए हैं, ओथ लेने के बाद भी अगर ओथ का पालन नहीं कर सकते हैं, तो आम जनता क्या समझेगी?
जी बिल्कुल, आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं। डॉक्टर का मैंने एक भी बार अपने पूरे इसमें ये नहीं कहा है कि जो हो रहा है सही है। आई हैव नेवर सपोर्टेड दिस। सो डॉक्टर का एज ए मेडिकल पर्सन, दिस इज अवर ड्यूटी टू सेव द लाइफ. पेशेंट इज द फर्स्ट. पेशेंट कम्स फर्स्ट, देन एनी अदर थिंग. सो आई एम नॉट सपोर्टिंग द स्ट्राइक. I am not supporting the incidents. Please don't take me under wrong. The Indian Medical Association can carry out. Absolutely, this is our first duty to do. So I'll tell you what you can do. To be for the patient. So the Indian Medical Association करते हैं, जैसा कि डॉक्टर बराई ने बताया कि हम लोग 48-48 घंटे की ड्यूटीज भी करते हैं. No. ये जो हुआ है, this is absolutely unfortunate. Indian Medical Association. ये इंसिडेंट्स जो आज वाला इंसिडेंट्स दिखा रहे हैं, this is absolutely unfortunate. The Indian Medical Association. अगर पेशेंट सामने है, वो नहीं सकता. I got your point. पेशेंट को मैं नहीं देखूंगा. And I am not supporting, and I am telling you, Indian Medical Association, Agarwal, it never support the wrong person. Mr. Agarwal, I am simply telling you tonight that the anger of the people in this country has reached tipping point. Don't we see? Each story, the people of this country have had enough. They're at tipping point. And Mr. Agarwal, I'll have to thank you at that point. And I want to thank all our panelists. But before I go,
I want to also tell you the story of what's happening in Shantiniketan, Bulandshahr, Hooghly, Shantiniketan, Ghaziabad and Bangalore. These are 5 instances in a country of 1.2 billion people. Now I'll tell you what happened in Vishwa Bharati. Forget an apology, the height of hypocrisy of the Vishwa Bharati University was exposed today when they almost simultaneously put 2 things on record. A report to the government blaming the parents of the...
This is the News Hour, brought to you by Samsung.